Can y'all hear me? All right, y'all. So today's video is going to be complaining but don't want to leave the situation. You know, you have a lot of Captain American Negroes. They want to talk, but they don't want to actually, put their foot down. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. Hold on. Hold on. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can somebody please tell me they can hear me? I just want to make sure. All right. Well, if y'all can hear me, that's what today's discussion is going to be about. Because you have a lot of, okay, okay, good. So we have a lot of Captain American Negroes. They complain about how they don't like it here. They complain about how they're getting mistreated. But yet, when it comes to land, infrastructure, nationhood, and when it's time to say, you know what, maybe we need to go somewhere else. Maybe we need to move back to the land of our ancestors. You get met with this intense resistance. It's like you're asking them to a completely foreign concept when it's basic understanding. The reality of the situation is you're living in a country that is filled with systemic racism, anti-blackness, and that's what they're showing you. And rather than saying that, okay, it's time to go, it's time to, end the situation, you got brothers and sisters that are like, well, we built it here. As a matter of fact, I remember watching a video a couple of days ago. It was, should black people go back to Liberia or should they institute the Mississippi campaign? Now, bear with me, y'all. Bear with me this logic, okay? This man says that we should continue the Mississippi campaign, which is basically go to states where we have huge numbers and try to control them. BL family, you already know what this is. The nation within a nation concept. This idea that we should have a couple of states to ourselves and that we should be able to control them and form our own government. This is what the dude was talking about. And it just baffles me because it's like, you don't want to be a part of America, but you want to be part of America, as Mr. Holipsism says. Y'all don't like how the American government's treating you. You don't like how America is being systematically oppressing you. But yet, for some odd reason, you don't want to say, you know what, let me remove my place entirely so I don't have to worry about this. It's ridiculous. As the great Mr. Holipsism said, it's like being in an abusive relationship. Think about it. I just want people to think about this for a second. Okay? If you're being abused, if you're being mistreated, if you feel like you are not going to, you're in a situation where it's not healthy for you and it's not beneficial to you, do you stay in the situation or do you leave the situation? It's simple. You're going to leave the situation. Because if you continue to stay in the situation, it's not going to bear out well for you. You're already being psychologically abused. You're being mentally abused. You're being physically abused. And you think that if you somehow try to stay and fight it out, that you're going to be treated better. That's not the way you should be thinking. You should be thinking what is in your best interest, not what's in the interest. He said it. Yeah, I will, Baruti, I will try to make that reference video. I will try to put the link in the description. I'll try to go back and do it. But like Chimamadu said, the Mississippi mission will be impossible nowadays due to the influx of Hispanic, Arab, and Asian immigrants into the country. Like, I don't understand how people don't understand that we don't live in a strictly black-white country anymore. We don't. We live in a society that is multiracial, multi-ethnic, and multinational. And you can either live with it, or you're just gonna be without it. That's just how it is. I mean, Asian Americans are, I think, the fastest demographic group in America. You're gonna have to live with it. We can just ignore that. That's what it's gonna be, whether we like it or not. And that's what we're just gonna have to do. Now, you may not like it, you might find it repugnant, but it is what it is. And I don't want that plan. Like Mr. Holism said, why is it that you reject everything about America, but then you want to stay here? I don't understand that mentality. I don't understand why we feel the need to stay here. Like if you know that I'm on the I'm on the headset now. I'm on the Logitech right now. So you should be able to hear me. But Mr. Holipsism made a great point. Where are you going to displace the white people living in those states? Like, can y'all please tell me that? Because we talk all of this, oh, we need to go back to the southern states and all this stuff, but we don't think it all through. And this is one of the things that, we in the Black community don't understand is the concept of strategy. It's the concept of strategy, right? Okay, you're in this. Okay, how are you going to respond to the US government when the US government comes there? Because we think that the US government is just going to allow us to break free and there's not going to be no pushback, that there's not going to be no consequences, right? But let's say they do allow for that to happen. Here's my question though, and here's for everybody in the chat. Wouldn't the US just put sanctions on us? Yes or no in the chat? Wouldn't the US government just put sanctions on us? So then what ends up happening? You're stuck in a situation where the US government controls your imports and your exports. They control your economic growth. You're basically dependent on the US to the point to where you have no choice but to be absorbed into the US. Like what are you talking about? They're just not going to let you break away, and they're not going to do like an anaconda plan where they strangle your economy. They're going to issue a blockade on you. Okay, or they could just use military force. Since technically America doesn't have to have amphibious vehicles, they could just send their army to occupy regions of the country, the states that we quote unquote took control of. It doesn't make any sense. And unless you have some sort of major foreign power that's in the US right now, that's there to protect you, you got no chance. So we gonna go up against people. You're talking about we got guns, we got guns. You're gonna go up against people with self-propelled artillery. You're gonna go against people who have an aircraft carrier strike group. You're gonna go up against people who got cyber warfare on them. This is what you're talking about? Please don't insult our intelligence. Please don't insult it because that's what you're doing. It's ridiculous. They don't think it through at all. And so that's what you have to, this is what we were talking about when we talk about complaining, but don't want to do the work. I mean, complaining, but don't want to leave the situation. You're complaining about all this mistreatment. You're complaining about all this abuse. You're complaining about how we don't have access to opportunity. We're complaining about this, that, and the third. And it's like, at what point do you say, you know what? I'm done complaining. At what point do we say, you know what? I'm not gonna deal with this. I'm not gonna, stress myself out. I'm not gonna, put myself in a situation where I'm struggling. I'm gonna dip out. Peace. I'm gonna, take myself to Liberia where I feel safe. I'm gonna put myself in this country where I know I won't be judged, where I won't have to deal with the situation of racial unemployment. I won't have to deal with a situation where my I have to suffer anti-blackness on a constant daily basis. I'm not going to deal with that. I'm just not. Jabari, some believe that white flight will occur when an influx of blacks move into the South. We should advocate about the ASD plan of 20 years that advocated black-white negotiation about the territory. Yeah, but my thing about it is you still live in the United States. That's the thing. Like, you still live in the United States. Like, they not just gonna let you come in and then take a piece of the country and then like are just gonna let you do that. Like that's not gonna happen. And then, like I said before, Asians are the fastest growing immigrant group in America, and then Hispanics are. So what are you gonna do with them? Like it's not easy like that. It's just not. He said it right there. Vic said it right there. Cats need to read about the SEALs and Delta Force. A fight would be a total wipeout. Yeah, these people don't like these people don't strategize. They're not like us at the BIO where we actually think things through, where we're planning stuff out, where we do research and understand the situation that we are in. These people, they just talk and don't have a clue about how the world functions. They don't know how military works. They don't know how structures work. They don't know how any of this is. They just talk to sound good, to feel good about themselves, but they don't know. These fools need to listen to the seventh commandment. They should. They should. And here's a link. And here's a link. Please go look it up, please. Because some of y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all don't know how things work. And it's really frustrating. He said Americans for self-determination was a Fed assistant facilitating police in the various sections of the U.S. Oh, um, I don't think that would work now. I think they would want the whole thing, but yeah, I think they would want the whole thing. I don't think they would want sections of the country. No, no. In today's movement of white nationalism is increasingly we want the whole country. Richard Spencer said it. We want peaceful ethnic cleansing, as he described. That's what Richard Spencer said. So, nah, I don't want to be close to mine. No, 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 no. My question is, why would we want to? Hold up. It's this. Well, our ancestors were enslaved here, and this is where all of our. It's basically the same thing as those we built America. We built America. We built the railroads. We built the all of this stuff in the South as the civil rights movement happened, and therefore we feel the need to stay here. But my thing is, we built Liberia too. We built it up. We had presidents there. We had chief justices there. We had vice presidents there. We had military commanders there. How come you use that same thing for the South, but not for Liberia? Our ancestors suffered the highest mortality rates in Liberia, but yet for some reason that never gets factored in about it. There was even one YouTuber who said, yeah, we built America, but we also built up Liberia. So why don't we ever bring that up? Like y'all talk about Liberia, but I mean y'all talk about America, but we don't talk about how we built up Liberia. We built up Liberia. We created Liberia. So why is it that we don't have that same sort of pride with Liberia as we do with staying in America? Umoja, how's it going?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good morning and afternoon, depending on where you're at. Good stuff. This is a good topic that we've talked about ad nauseum, but it still needs to be touched on. And as you was talking, what what kept coming to my mind is that like, why would you even want to continue to stay here? Like, even if you're not even looking at it from a race perspective, if you're looking at it from an economical perspective, political perspective, just a healthy land perspective, like this place is like kind of going to shit, for lack of a better term, like as we speak, you know. And as the country crumbles, the people who are already on the bottom is not going to just all of a sudden rise to the top. I mean, these people have shown throughout history that they will murder themselves to maintain power. So for us to think that like America is the spot to actually build at is kind of childish and like fantasy like, and I understand that America propaganda has tricked Americans more than anybody into thinking that like this is the land of opportunities, because you see it. You see entrepreneurship, you see people coming up with ideas and getting rich and stuff like that. But as a people, like when you talk about the systemic racism and stuff that's here, you could tell that this has never been meant for us to actually really, really, really make it and make a right life for our people, not just individuals scattered out, but for our people as a whole. We're the burden bearers. We're the burden bearers here, and that's how it was made up to be, and that's how it's going to continue to be. So that's kind of what was my thought, was like, why are we talking about America as if America is the spot any damn, like straight up, like it's not the only country on earth.
My whole gripe with it is, why is it that y'all so attached to the land? Like, you say we should have separation, so why don't we have it in all forms? Like, it just really amazes me when we talk about Black revolutionary leaders, but we completely forget the fact that a lot of these people advocated going back to Africa. They didn't advocate, well, let's get a piece of chunk. Because you know what I equate people who advocate for that? They're basically asking for a reservation. That's what you're asking for. You're asking for one big reservation. That's essentially what it is. That's what a nation with a nation is. That's basically what you're asking for. You're asking for a reservation. What else do you call it? Baruti says dual citizenship and an AUAFTA passport for diasporans are the most expedient ways to foster economic and political leverage as long as we are developing comprehensive Africa plans. That would. But the reality of the situation is a lot of our people, or even people in the conscious community, they're not thinking about it in that term. We are. No. Okay. Umoja, you there? Can y'all hear me now? Okay, you can hear me now. Okay, we're good.
I couldn't hear anything, and I got disconnected. That was really weird.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, you got disconnected. I don't know which one to remove. I'm gonna remove the second one, I guess.
Go ahead and remove one so it's not an echo.
Right.
I'm still here.
All right, y'all can hear us. Okay, that's good. Great, y'all can hear us. But to continue on what CJM said, I don't find the need to stay in a place where my ancestors were being brutalized. Like, why would I want to stay here? Look at what they're doing in Georgia with the voter suppression laws. Look at what they're doing. Like, why would you want to stay here? Why? Can someone explain? Can somebody in the chat please explain to me why you would want to stay in a country that has done this to you? Why would you want to stay in a country that disrespects you like that? Why would you want that?
This is where it gets interesting. Because we could talk about the brother, the police who on trial for kneeling on the brother. We could talk about the white boy in Kentucky who literally just got his case dismissed for raping and brutalizing an 8-year-old black girl. This like just happened a few days ago, where he got off the trial. We could talk about all the atrocities that happen to black people, and black people will say, "But this is my land right here. Like this is my home," and that's understandable. That's understandable that you say that this is my home. It's like we've been
No, Umoja. We need to break it down. No, it's not their home. It's what's familiar to them.
exactly
Home that is not home. It's
That's
familiar.
what I was getting.
They want to stay it because it's familiar, not because it's home.
But this is important though. This is important though to the human condition. This is why people stay in abusive relationships. This is why people stay in toxic relationships where they know it ain't going anywhere. It's just because that's all you know and that's what you used to. And that's where lack of leadership comes in. And that's where lack of African leadership comes in. Just like Barutu was talking about the AU passports and stuff like that. Like this is stuff that will give us incentive. Like you have no incentive as a black folk. You've been beat down for hundreds of years. You know that you're in a racist place. You know that if you work hard enough, you just might be able to get a job with benefits. So why would you just like mind you, this is not how I think. I understand, but I also understand how other people think. It's just frustrating. I get it. So everybody don't have courage. Everybody don't have fire up under them. Most people are cowards when it comes down to it. Most people just want to live, and that's the truth. I don't give a damn how much they march with guns. I don't care how much they talk about black power. When it comes down to it, he was a coward because our people are still getting killed. Our people are still getting mistreated, and nobody is getting touched. None of the opposition is getting touched. Everybody's alive. Everybody's alive and walking and breathing and happy and saying these niggas is weak. So I don't want to hear about how we strong and powerful. Shut the fuck up. No. Like straight up, cut the crap. Cut the crap. When it comes down to it, we only want to hurt each other, and that's what we've been accustomed to. So until there's some other incentives, it's gonna keep on going and going and going and going. Like no amount of education. I don't want to hear we need to be educated. Don't want to hear we need to learn knowledge itself. Shut up. We know. we understand this. Like if you don't see the writing on the walls, you just can't read. And I'm personally not here to teach people how to read. That's somebody else's job. But yeah, man, we just so used to the beat down that we comfortable in the beat down.
See, my thing is, yeah, but what Chimamanda said was a good point. This is a country that can't even help its own people in the middle of a global pandemic. Why would anyone still have hope in this country? And that to me is the most mind-boggling part because it's like I tell people the whole Derek Chauvin case. Like I'm not even like putting so much energy because it's like, listen, I don't have faith in this country. Like so knowing that, like I know my expectations, so I know what to expect.
feel so much attachment to it. Like this is gonna be the case where we finally get justice. It's like why if they keep showing you, why do you keep having this this idea that one day you're gonna see through the tunnel? I don't get that. I don't get that. Like I just don't. Like, and it's real funny because no other ethnic group, or I'm not gonna say no other ethnic group, but most nationalities, when they don't have a future in a country, they leave and go somewhere else. They don't seek to stay in that country because there's nothing there for them.
Well,
There's no job opportunities. There's no
that's where
political opportunities. Why am I here?
follow me, because you have no home. That's why when people say, well, look at other groups in African, and then look at black Americans, like the average black person or the average pro-black person will say, well, our experience is different than everybody else's, which is 100% true, and it actually it actually deserves to be listened to in certain cases. For instance, we have no home. We have no home. There is no other country for us that is just going to welcome us and just let us. We have to work very hard for that, and and to an extent that's okay. But as a people, but as a people, it's difficult for some people to grasp, especially when everything about Africa that's been told to you is damaging to your psyche. Especially when Africa is still in 2021 being raped and pillaged. Like it's every country in Africa is not doing well. You know what I mean? So people don't have it in their mind that, oh, I can just go to Africa and get citizenship and get a wife and everything else. People don't have that in their minds. That's not in their minds at all. Hey, that's not in their minds at all. So it's just a difficult situation all around, and that's why it has to be a collective, a BAIO collective, BAIO and others collectives that's saying, okay, we get the situation, we get that it's hard, we get that it's going to take work, but we're here to do that work instead of keep on doing this hamster wheel activism that we do in America. We put so much energy in trying to make America good for Black folks. If we put any iota amount of energy in actually trying to build on a continent, we would win. We would win handedly because they need us. They need us. They really do. But we'll put
And
so
here's
much effort into
and here's
American.
my thing. And here's my
Go ahead.
But no, Umoja, that's what I'm gonna answer your thing before I get into my point. But that's what I said in the last video about building is where the opportunities lie in the last live stream. And I was talking about how America has like like let's say America has like 5 or 6 doctors per 600 people, which is like 2 or 3 times or 4 times above what the global average is, right? If you leave the country, I'm not going to say that they're not going to appreciate your talent, but your talent is not needed because we already have enough doctors. You're just gravy on top. But if you leave, our system is not going to collapse because we already have the necessary amount of doctors needed. However, in a country like Liberia, where there's only like 251 doctors for 5 million people, and they don't even have a single doctor per 600 people, you being there does matter. Your skills actually go a long way because you're needed. Excuse me. It's like I compare it to, right, what happened to compare it to your career, right? Let's say you were playing a sport, right? And you had 2 schools to go to. You could go to a really good school, but you're going to get no playing time or little playing time. Oh, or you can go to an okay school, but you get a lot of playing time and you're going to be more of the offense. If I'm thinking of where to enhance my skill, I'm going to go to the school that is all right. Yeah, we may not win the national championship, but I'm needed there. I'm appreciated there. I'm able to craft my skills more because I'm going to get more playing time. And to my point is that it's going to benefit all of us because when you have more people on deck, the roles become smaller. When you have everybody, When you don't have everybody on board, it means that a certain group of people have to do everything. So instead of it being, just, focusing on technology, focusing on engineering, everybody, the few people that are doing it have to be good at everything. So we can't specialize. We have to literally do everything. We have to be generalists. But go ahead, Emoja.
You keep cooking. You keep cooking.
That's the whole thing. Because everybody's not on the collective, we can't afford to be, specialists. Yeah, like that we can't afford to. So I can't afford to be, focusing exclusively on medicine because I don't have somebody who focuses on telecommunications. I can't afford to be focusing strict on engineering because I don't have an economist. So now I have to do both of these roles, and that puts a lot of stress because you basically have to double up, and it's not easy, and it's a lot of time. As with the control of black majority states, you don't have to separate or it's simply a state law that using the black majority. I'm cool with nationhood or that. I will answer. I will answer. I will answer Vincent's question. You do realize you have state, local, and federal. So even if we had a black majority in these states, you still have the federal government. And the federal government can simply override the power of the states. It happened with same-sex marriage. There were states that said that, marriage was between one man and one woman, although I disagree with that notion. But that was their, law. And then the Supreme Court came in and said, no, that's illegal. You have to make it legal across all states. All states had to make it legal, whether they liked it or not. So you have to focus on that too. It's on a federal level as well, not just on a state level. Look at Texas and California. Texas and California are Hispanic majority states, and yet Hispanics are the poorest group in those regions. Disproportionate number of Hispanics live in poverty. New Mexico is a majority Hispanic state, and it's the poorest state in America. So what does having a majority do with the standard of living? What does it mean? Why does it matter? But you guys can answer the rest of it. Baruti did ask Jabari, aren't you asking the right question regarding why we want to stay here? We need a comprehensive Africa plan with multiple pieces given our large population, no dual citizenship or southern presence.
Who is
what do you mean by no dual citizenship and southern presence? I don't understand what you mean by that, Baruti. You're gonna have to elaborate on that. But if anybody else wants to chime in, they can chime in.
Who's we?
Well, Baruti said we, so
what we is going to come up with the comprehensive Africa plan?
Not the BIL.
Peace, y'all. Sorry,
I have no idea.
Sorry, I just jumped in like that. Can I ask you and Emoja a question?
No, you can, but yeah, I don't know. I guess the BIO is coming up with the comprehensive Africa plan.
Where's that echo coming from? There's an echo.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's going now. Oh no, there it is. It's just a delay.
It might be from my Logitech or hold on. I might remove. Okay, I thought it was me. Oh no, there it is. It's just a delay. Okay, you know what? It might be coming from my Logitech. I might have to take.
Is your emoji there?
He is not responding.
Maybe it's not you. Take him out of the
I
live
was
stream,
still
and he
here.
can
I was
come
on
back in.
mute.
Oh, okay.
I was still there. I was just on mute.
Okay. What's up, bro?
Good to hear your voice, big bro. Go ahead and cook.
Yeah. I want to ask you all a question. How do you fit the square peg into the round hole? Could you answer that for me?
You can't.
You drill the hole and make it bigger.
That seems like a lot of work. Why not just put the square peg in the square hole?
Because we stupid. We wanted the kids who ain't at the same developmental age yet. You know how they do that test with toddlers.
No, it's
why
not that.
why can't
I don't even think it's that, Umoja. The answer that I would give is people don't understand there's a multiple approaches. There's an alternative. You don't have to put the square hole in the circle. You could just put it in the square and it'll just be done. Like there's always a simpler path.
Yeah, like why isn't the freshwater fish in salt water?
Because salt water is toxic for freshwater animals. Like that would kill them.
But maybe we should take the salt water and try to make it fresh. Do you see where I'm going with this?
You can, but that would take a lot of energy and effort. You would have to desalinate the water. You would have to create desalination plants.
And the question that any logical person would ask is why? Why go through all of that hard work to try to fit the square peg into the round holes? Are we going to get out drills and try to reshape the fucking circle to make it into a square? Why not just put the fucking square peg in the square hole? Why are we talking about trying to fit in with people that hate us? Why? What is this fascination with being around these people? And maybe, my thing is this. If that's what you want, I have no problem with that. Even though I think it's retarded, I think it's stupid, I have no problem because just because I feel something is dumb, I'm not going to impose my will on the rest of the world. So if somebody wants to stay in America, I have absolutely no problem with them doing that. What I'm saying is, and this is what I had told Umoja before, we got to be careful about who are we talking to. When we say we, who are we talking about? Because when I'm around y'all BAIO members, we're not having these conversations. I'm not around Captain America Negroes. I'm not around militant integrationists. I'm not around Black Power Americans. So are we included in that? No. The only thing we got to do at this point is try to find people who think like us so we can connect with them and build and expand this movement of having our nation state.
And you know what? And to add to that whole of, you know what's really interesting and really funny is that these are the same people who they don't even have a uniformed ideology. When you ask them what their ideology is, it doesn't make any sense, and they can't sum it up in a single sentence. They always got to go on and on and on, and it's like if you can't explain your whole argument in a simple sentence, you don't have an ideology.
Yeah, it's like when you have a salesperson, when you over talking, then it comes across as being disingenuous. If the product is good, it sells itself. You don't have to talk my ear off about it. So when I hear you talking your ear off, then it makes me think I'm getting conned. That's how most people are. Like you ask somebody, what's our end game? Our end game is land, infrastructure, and nationhood. That's our end game. Short, concise, digestible, understood from 8 to 80. You ask these do it right here, people. What's your end game? You're gonna get a whole fucking diatribe. And with a whole lot of moving parts.
That right there was what was the most attractive part of the BIO when I was introduced almost 3 years ago now, was there was a concept of an end game. Cause you see, and that's the thing when you say the we, like I heard the BIO, I read it, I heard a couple of videos, and I was like, oh shit, this is exactly what I've been thinking with myself and being told that I'm crazy and that I need to calm down. Made perfect sense to me. There was no need for discussion. Then I start asking around. So what is the end game here? Like, what is the goal here? And people will literally have none. It's literally just to keep fighting the fight and
Yeah.
say that you're revolutionary. Like,
The
that's literally the
struggle,
end game.
And
the
see,
struggle continues.
even then, right? Even with our land infrastructure initiative, when people ask where, we already know where we want to establish it. We already know why, and we can answer it in a simple sentence. Like, you can keep asking us questions, and we can answer it in a simple sentence. We don't have to keep rambling on. Like I told people here on the bell, I'm not a person who likes to talk a lot. I like to get to the point. I just don't like hearing myself talk.
Same here.
I'm to the point. Like, that should not be your motto. You should not be the person who enjoys hearing yourself talk.
Yeah, we've had that before.
Yeah. But the social media culture today is every time something happens in the news, every time there's some celebrity gossip, let's do a video and talk about it. Let's do a live stream and talk about it. And it just keep people engaged in bullshit. That's not getting us anywhere, man. It's so sick. It's so sick. But you talk about land, infrastructure, and nationhood, that's not a very entertaining conversation unless you're excited about having power over your own self.
No, see, Umoja, even with those stuff, right? With those celebrity gossips and drama, right? They themselves they don't even end up anywhere either. They end up nowhere, and they end up badly. So even then, that's not even a good thing to talk about. There's no action being done. So, like, even then, that celebrity gossip is worthless. Chimamadu said that the question is, why would you want to be on equal footing with people who are already treated horribly by their own government?
Yeah, same. Which gets back to my question: how do you fit the square peg in the round hole? It's like we keep having these conversations, and it's like we're engaging in this nonsense. It's just nonsense. If we're going to talk about power, then we got to have a power base, and we're not going to have a power base in America. That is insanity. That makes absolutely no sense. There was a civil war in America to keep the Union together. What makes you think you're going to develop some separate state, and it's going to be a black state too? They wouldn't even let them do it with a white state.
I just like I said before earlier in the live, unless you have a major foreign power that is right nearby that can help assist you, it ain't happening. Like I said before, go ahead.
How are you going to prevent a black Wall Street from happening again?
You can't unless you have foreign defense.
No. What you do is make opportunities for a specific amount of Negroes, most of them 6, 7 and up, to get millions of dollars, and you put them on platforms. And if they say anything to do with nationhood or anything to do about black people having power, you cut their head off. That's what you do. You just keep them happy. The reality of the situation of the black American is that they got black people and black men and women exactly where they want them. They got us exactly where they want us. They got us keep on fighting a good fight, and they keep on saying, yeah, fuck you, you're still a nigger. And we keep on coming back to fight.
Oh.
Keep on coming back to stay here. We keep on coming back to fight and say, no, this is our home. This is our land. They got black folks exactly where they want us. Like, let's be real. They got us exactly where they want us. We seem to forget that we're dealing with the enemy who is very smart when it comes to protecting their own interests. They're very wise on that. They've been planning ahead. Like Jabari keep on saying, we don't have people that plan. We don't plan. These people plan. These people planned America. These people planning all of this stuff that goes.
Let me let you in on a little spoiler. You can't even reach the planning stages until you first are an organized people.
How about that?
So it's like we want to skip steps. It's like we're gonna talk about, how are we gonna win the Super Bowl and you ain't even got a fucking team.
And even then, in order for that to happen, you have to have a unified ideology, or you have to have a common ideology. Like you can assemble a team, but if you don't even have an ideology, you don't even have a team. You just have individuals. You don't have a team. So even then, it's just mind-boggling. And then, like I said before,
Please
Go ahead.
highlight that Ronin comment, please, because that says it all. That Ronin
That is unfortunate.
Ronan always dropping a bomb, though, ain't he? Bam,
always.
bam, just like that.
It's
And that's the
unfortunate
truth.
too because it shouldn't be foreign to people. Like I don't understand how this stuff is like I don't, maybe because like I said, because we come from, like, we're in this thought and we know about it, it just baffles us. But I just don't get it because, like I said before, like in the video, you complaining on the phone about how your customer service is, but you still keep going to that place.
I want to know, is the white man our enemy? Is this American government our enemy? Because if we can determine that this is our enemy, then the question becomes, do you want to beat your enemy or do you want to negotiate with your enemy? Because our enemy wants to beat us. They're not in these meetings talking about how can we come to some type of mutual agreement with black folks. No, they trying to
No,
kill us.
See, here's the problem. Here's the problem. Hold up, is like Umoja said before. When we think about how other groups got their independence or got their liberation, their oppressors were forced to do it because they knew that it would be suicidal for them not to do it.
Right.
So we forget, like in South Africa, people talk about South Africa, how they overthrew apartheid. Nobody talks about how there were bombs that were being detonated on transportation. There was guerrilla warfare. There were foreign, countries coming to assist South Africans in their liberation struggles. We don't talk about that. We just assume that apartheid was like the civil rights movement, just protesting, marching in the street. Nah, like there was actual fights going on, actual battles, actual wars that were going on. This was not they were not thinking to themselves, how can we make our oppressors reach their morality? Remember that quote from Nelson Mandela? He said, "I see violence as a tactic."
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that you should do it, but the reality of it is you have to think about the situation you are in. And people don't think that way. You have to, like you said, you have to read the room. And we don't.
I have absolutely no problem with violence. My only problem is I like my violence organized. I have
And that
no
was one of the
problem.
things, and that's one of the things when you hear about what happened in apartheid South Africa. One of the things that they said was they wanted to be strategic about it. They said, do it strategically with little loss of life. Because it's a sense that you have to be strategic. You can't just be sporadic, because if it's sporadic, it gets out of control.
And for all of those people who say that they just eliminate violence and put violence off the table completely, I always ask this question: why does
The American Revolution was literally
no, not that. Why does your hand ball up into a fist? Do you think that's for a reason, or is that an accident?
Yeah, the whole violence part just gets on my nerves.
Oh
The
yeah,
violence
and
part
one
gets
of the
on
things
my
that I
nerves.
wanted to say was, before you go, I always ask this question when people say that. I say, wasn't the American Revolution, wasn't that violence? Wasn't the Boston Tea Party, wasn't that violence? Wasn't the Civil War violence? Wasn't all this stuff violence?
No, because it was white people.
I have a I have a saying that I would say in certain situations when a flip out was necessary. I would say everybody understands violence. You could talk to some people and they don't get it. You could give advice and people don't take it and everything else. You slap somebody across the face. Everybody understands what message you're trying to get across. Everybody.
Oh
It's
yeah,
universal. It's universal. Everyone
yeah.
gets violence.
I used to tell my brother that, like my brother used to say, like the universal sign that everybody understands is a balled up fist. Everybody, no matter what language you speak, if you never spoke any language, if you ball your fist up, everybody knows exactly what that means. But we sitting here having a conversation, like I said, how are you going to win a so-called fight if, first of all, you don't even acknowledge that there is a fight? You don't even acknowledge that there's actually an opponent. You're trying to negotiate with somebody that's trying to. It's like a fucking
Like we said,
Zumba,
you
a
have no
Zumba.
leverage.
It's like a
You
Zumba
have
teacher. It's like a Zumba teacher trying to fight a person in the UFC. And how you think that's going to work out for you?
It's not gonna work out. I'm gonna answer Baruti's question and then I'm gonna get back to what we were saying. He says not being disrespectful to the panel, but perhaps you can move to Liberia or pick other viable African countries and simply move there. Basically, forget about the group construct. I disagree because you know what's so unfortunate? Garvey got like 6 million followers and he didn't even step a foot in Africa. And this dude, before he even stepped foot in Africa, he had millions of supporters. So we supposed to get up and leave without support?
I don't
Because
understand
then,
what he's saying, though. What does he mean, basically, forget about the group construct? What does that mean? He means just go. In other words, like if I want to go to Liberia, just as an individual, go there, because that kind of that kind of defeats everything that we're talking about.
because like I said before, Garvey had millions of followers before he even sent his delegation to Liberia. He had millions of supporters. Like he didn't just move there by himself. He had a mass following.
Yeah, like I'm talking about as a collective, even if it's a small collective, but a collective with a support system, not just I can literally right now go to any African country that I want to as an
Yeah, we all
individual.
can. We all can. We all can go. Like I can get up like tomorrow or like when I graduate and just go to a country and just stay there by myself and not worry. Like that's easy to go as an individual. But when you're thinking about the collective, no, we need the collective and we have to win them over because no African country is going to let Black people move in mass if the collective is not in support of it.
Right.
Like they're just not going to let a bunch of individuals, like, no, they say like there needs to be a collective. So we need to know, okay, you guys are planning to move in mass, because if we prepare for you guys to move in mass and then y'all don't show up, we just wasted how much resources, how much time.
Yeah. Like I don't think that we can't forget the group construct, because that's not, for me personally, that's not an option. I would consider myself actually, well, I won't go there. I'll just say this. It doesn't benefit the whole. And this is why, like, when people want to point to us individually, it's a stalling tactic, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not talking about you, Baruti, but I've been in a situation where, like, if y'all listen to Diana's show, dudes would try to attack me and ask me what am I doing personally, and I'm like, what? First of all, that's none of your goddamn business. And how is that relevant to us as a group? If I make a personal decision, let's say I went to Rwanda, I saw a spot in Rwanda that I would love to be in right now. What does that do for the group? Holip's good.
No, I got a better idea. I got a better analogy, or a simple analogy so people can understand. LeBron James is almost close to being a billionaire. So does that mean that Black people are going to become billionaires because he's a billionaire?
Well, according to them, yeah. According to these people, yeah.
Yeah, like, but we all know that, of course not. He's a unicorn. He's the exception. That's one individual. That's not the collective. Because maybe a couple Black people are millionaires and billionaires. That means that the majority, no, that's not how this works. You're comparing one instance to the whole group. It's like what I say, it's like comparing average and median. You can't compare the two because that one person skews the whole data, but the average person is much lower than what the mean would tell you. And it's the same thing, with this.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Hola, we can do our own things. We can, but that's going to skew everything and it's not going to show what the average is or what the average person is thinking or what the average person is doing. You have to skew that median. You have to change the median before we can do anything. That one person skews everything. So you can't use us.
And you know what's funny, Jabari? They'll also tell us that we're running, but then they advocate for us running. Isn't that funny?
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. Let's get into that subject. What I say is, okay, you're complaining about the situation, but you don't want to walk away from the situation. Last time I checked, if a situation is getting uncomfortable or out of hand, you don't stay in the situation and confront it. It's like what happens when you in a club, right? I've never been to the club. I'm just bringing this scenario up. If you hear gunshots in the club, do you run to the gunshots or do you run away from the gunshots?
If you're smart, you run away.
That's basic common sense. You run away from danger. I'm going to run away from a situation that I don't feel safe in. I don't feel comfortable in. I'm not going to stay there and fight because that's a danger to my life. I could lose my life if I did that. So what you do, you're smart. You say, hey, it's getting uncomfortable here. It's getting really dangerous here. I'm gonna pull back. I'm gonna get myself out of this situation so I don't have to even worry about it. That's what we're thinking in this year when it comes with nationhood. Okay? We're like, listen, it is not safe here. We do not feel comfortable here. It's hurting us mentally, physically. We're gonna get away from this situation so it doesn't take a further toll on us.
Hey,
That's
y'all,
called being smart.
I want to give y'all a square peg, round hole example. And I raised this point. I raised this point in a video before, and I just want to, if y'all would indulge me.
Mm-hmm.
Black folks in America don't want to celebrate Christmas. They don't want to celebrate the 4th of July. They don't want to pledge allegiance to the flag. They don't want to sing the national anthem. They hate everything that has to do with America, but yet they still want to be an American. Help me with that. Everything that America. So then when 4th of July comes, you should be the most patriotic person on the planet in this country. All of this stuff. When the flag is raised, you should be standing up. You should have your hand over your heart. You should be singing your fucking ass off with the national anthem. But all of this stuff you find innately detestable. Like it bothers your spirit to embrace it, but yet you still want to embrace the title of an American. That's the perfect square peg, round hole mentality. It's like we're sitting up here. Why? It's like you're in the crack. Like I said, I'll say it again. I've said it 1,000 times. You want to kick crack, but you still want to live in the crack house. So then I have to question, do you really want to kick crack?
I'm not going to say this argument because I don't like to give them but it's like that argument when people say, if you don't like it here, you can always leave. And then Black people will say, well, that's offensive. Well, my thing is, if you don't like it here, why are you continuing to, obviously you don't like being around us. Obviously you feel like we're causing problems. So why do you still want to stay here? If you're struggling, you would want to leave. Why do you want to stay here? And why do you get offended when they tell you that? I'm just like, I've always tried to leave. I wish I would have sent us earlier. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, you're complaining, but you don't want to leave the situation. I really should consider playing that. I really should consider playing that song "Hit the Road, Jack" by Ray Charles. I really should.
Yeah, like Ronan said, they should have tears in their eyes when the anthem is playing and the flag is whipping. They should also embrace their president, whoever that president is. When Trump was president, you should have embraced and defended Trump. Now that Biden is president, you can embrace and defend Biden. That's your president. But they don't want to accept any of the things that's American, that America represents, but they still want to be an American.
And you know what, to add to that whole up, you know what I just found really crazy? I saw something on Twitter and they were like, black people, black Americans are their own separate nation. And I'm like, so you recognize that we are our own separate nation, but you don't want to, but you want to stay in America? Wait, so
Do
you
they know what a
recognize that
nation
we're,
is?
they don't. They're just speculating, I assume.
Because
Because I'm just like, why are we?
Amos Wilson would refer to us as an ad hoc nation, which is accurate. We're treated as a nation by other nations, but we don't consider ourselves, we're not an organized nation. We're ad hoc here and there, and we're grouped together as a people. It's like the point that I made in the last live stream. When it comes to oppression, we're a group. When it comes to power, we're everybody has the individual conversation. Oh, well, we're individuals. We're not monolithic. We're all in da 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 da. Everybody sees nuance when it comes to us talking about power.
And
But
my
when it
thing
comes to
about it,
oppression,
and my thing about it, even when it comes to that, when we talk about power, what people don't say, it's the collective. This has nothing to do with being a monolith. This is defining us as a group, who we are. Americans are not a monolith, but if you were to ask people what an American is, they can tell you what it is, or they know what an American is.
yeah,
Like
it's
that
the
has nothing to
perspective.
do with.
It's the perspective and and how you're looking at the problem. It's like when it comes to oppressing us, you can tell who we are. It's no confusion about blackness when it comes to oppression, when it comes to killing us, when it comes to prejudice, when it comes to discrimination. We know who black people are. So why do we pretend like we don't know who we are when it comes to power? Why does it become ambiguous when it comes to socioeconomic and political power? And I think we all know the answer to that.
Yeah, but I'm also, like I said before, and I want to go back to some of the points that I made earlier and sort of reiterate them. When they talk about we built America, well, we built Liberia, we built our own country, we built Africa's oldest republic. We built, some of the oldest universities in West Africa. We built, the first five-star hotel in Africa. We built, Africa's first, we built the Liberia Broadcasting Company. We built, what else was it? We were the founders of the OAU. We built the Monrovia Group. We built all of this stuff. But yet, these Captain American Negroes won't claim that. They will come up with all the excuses in the world not to claim it.
Mm-hmm. Because they love America. What's that?
But don't want
That
to be a
song?
part of
That
it.
Jennifer Holiday? What's that Jennifer Holiday song? I'm telling you, I'm not going.
But my point is this: if my thing is this, so you're basically saying I want us to be separate, but at the same time, I want to be assimilated. What you can it's either or. Like, if you don't want to leave America, just say, listen, we want to be Americans and we want to assimilate. But stop this proto nationalism, which is, we want our own separate things, but we still want to be American and we want the benefits of being American. That's not how any of this stuff works. If you're gonna assimilate, assimilate. But stop this proto nationalism. Stop it. Y'all going in the chat, but y'all are going in the chat. Oh my God, they going in the chat. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. Like I said before, you're complaining about how you're being mistreated. You're complaining about how you don't get economic opportunities. If you know this is happening, why are you not saying, you know what, let me withdraw myself for the situation so I can put myself in a better situation, put myself where I'm more needed, put myself where, I don't have to worry about the stress. Why would you not do that? Like, because at this point, people might as well just drown you out. We might as well just drown you out because you're not serious. You're complaining about being mistreated, but when it comes to, okay, let's remove ourselves from the situation. Since it's not being resolved, it's not being handled. We went to the authorities, the government, and they've constantly, rejected us, or it hasn't been solved accordingly. We need to put ourselves out of this situation. We need to go somewhere else. But that never happens.
You know, black folks is Jennifer Holiday. Basically, that's what it is. Black folks in America are Jennifer Holiday. They not going. You the best country I ever knew.
Chimamadu said it's FBA 8 odds against the world. Oh my god, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But you know,
Oh, I wish I could play that Jennifer Holiday joint. And what's the new girl who sung it? What's her name? Jennifer Hudson, I think. Yeah, that's what black folks are. You gonna love me. You gonna love me.
Ronan is on fire.
What's up, Brian?
What's good?
What's the deal, son? You can build, son. We won't step on your toes.
It's just like I find it funny because, like you said, like they want to be separate, but then they also want a special class protections. Like you can't be a separate nation then want special class protection. Like, I don't remember the Japanese saying, yeah, we want to be Japanese Americans, but give us special class protections. Like, no, like, nigga, let us go back to Japan. Like, why the fuck am I in a cage? But when it comes to Negroes, it's like, well, I don't want to go over there away from the problems. I want to stay here and get 3 states surrounded by a country that, can still bomb the fuck out of you.
Where the
But you got to
roads and
give
the
us
highways are controlled by their
yeah,
enemy.
yeah. Highways, roads, and all kinds of infrastructure,
Like I
soft and hard,
said,
your
where you can
water,
just
your
put
electrical grid.
sanctions, where you can just put sanctions and a blockade on them, and their country will collapse.
You know what's funny about, like, say if they got 3 states, right? And these motherfuckers got sanctioned, what the fuck are they gonna do?
Starve to death.
It pretty much. No. They gonna starve and start moving back into the American government nation rather than staying their own. That's what's gonna
Can
happen.
you imagine? Can you imagine that? So now you get your own 3 states, and now you're begging the white man to come and live in his. So you have absolutely no leverage, and he's gonna. You don't think he's gonna take advantage of that? I wonder what the requirements are going to be for you to move back in. What would the tax rate be for you? 75%?
Shit. They might have to go back to fucking picking cotton and shit. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised.
Like you can
And
move
speaking
back,
of
but it'll be as a
reparations,
slave.
and speaking of reparations, right? I want to get to the rule of two. The rule of two makes a great point. But he was talking about, like, with Native Americans. Native Americans got reparations, and they're still the poorest group in America. We keep talking about how they got reparations, and yet they're the poorest group in America. Highest poverty rates. I mean, some of these reservations are like literally look like some places in the third world. But y'all want to model yourselves after them. You talk about Japanese Americans, but yet Japanese Americans wanted to become Americans, and they saw themselves as American citizens, not Japanese citizens, and they wanted to be compensated for what they lost, and it was only a small amount of them. They got paid $20,000 each, and it was to a certain number of them. It wasn't to all Japanese Americans. So even then, your argument is just it's easily debunked, and it doesn't make any sense.
Can I answer that question that Baruti
go
asked
ahead.
you?
Yeah.
Baruti, the presupposition to that question is that continental Africans are authentic Africans, and we're not. So I don't seek validation from them. Nobody can tell me I'm not African. Nobody. So that's my response to that.
Yeah, but he said, however, do libs consider you or us African? Yeah, there are a lot of African Liberians that do consider African Americans their brothers. They do. Just saying. I've talked to a lot of Liberians, and a lot of Liberians, I need to put this video in. I need to probably send this in the chat, but it was talking about the challenge of the African diaspora, and it was on focus on Liberia. And Holip's been on the focus on Liberia channel. And basically he was talking about Ghana is eating our lunch because he's like, Liberia was there for them. Because he said one of the comments was, it said a lot of African American are moving to Africa. And he said, Liberia is the place to be. So that in and of itself tells you right there that they consider African Americans to be Liberian. They would not be emphasizing the history of Liberia with African Americans if they didn't consider African Americans to be Liberians or part of their family. They wouldn't. They would just hop right over it. They would have said, hey, they're going to other African countries, let them be. No, they said they should be coming here to Liberia.
And I'll just say from my point of view, like just based on my experience, my anecdotal evidence, I tend not to have a problem. Like I've never really had an issue with continental Africans. People like Africans that's actually on the continent. But what you usually get is Africans that's here in America who come from those different countries is the ones that tend to have a problem or an issue, which is ironic and strange to me. Because if you love your country that much, what the fuck you doing over here?
I would say usually those that come over here are usually the ones that have money anyway. So they're bringing their own class issue over here and putting it on Black Americans that are here. Like, well, I hear you're lazy and you don't have any money. Well, nigga, what do you understand the history that's here? A lot of them don't. So then you got to deal with that. Then on the flip side, I've met dudes and women from the continent and was like, hey, my brother, have you ever been and stuff like that. So sometimes, like, I think people forget there's like billions of Africans on the continent. So some of them gonna be fucking retards, and other ones gonna have common sense.
Yeah, could you imagine if people judge us by Little Pump?
Well, they do, but
you know what I'm
yes,
saying? It's like you judge us
yes.
by the worst examples that you can have. And Baruti, yeah, I knew you were talking about Liberia, but the same mental process still applies to that question that you asked. It's like we don't have to seek validation when the truth is the truth. 2 + 2 is 4. Whether anybody wants to acknowledge it as 4, that's their problem.
Oh yeah, let's bring up his point. He says there's also the part that they really don't want to do the work of building infrastructure and organizing a nation. Yeah, that's true. Like I said, we did a live show about that last week where you had the Americans who were like, I'll come over there when the infrastructure is built. I'll come over there when everything is built, the roads, the education system, everything's built.
That's hilarious.
The Johnny come lately Negroes. That's all.
That's hilarious to me. That right there is the glaring example that you don't know shit about nationhood. It's just a glare. Whenever I hear somebody say that shit, it just gives you a glaring example that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Because if you were smart, you would realize you coming up in the ground, from the ground up to a developing nation, if you're smart, would make you a billionaire.
I would take it even further with that. It's like we've seen like Facebook, the Black people who bought like acres upon acres of land in like Georgia, right? But what I never see following news of that is anybody in the comment section like, yo, I got a construction company or I got skills to help you build on the land. It's, oh, good job. Yeah, we did it. And the land is still fucking barren and full of trees and swamp.
And who controls the infrastructure? When it comes time for them to get their electrical lines and their gas piping and their telecommunications, who are they going to be doing business with? Are they going to go to these black industries?
State-owned too. Those are all state-owned too. Like people forget about the utilities, most of it is state-owned or like it's regional, so it's a monopoly. You can only get it from one person or one provider. But that's neither here or there because people don't do research.
Like, what is the end game?
There is none. It's just It's just hamster wheel activism. Oh, you bought a parcel of land, and now you still have to go to the same state or government that you're trying to get away from to even be able to have an electrical grid, because in many states you can't be off the grid. Like Jabari said, you got to get it from one provider or the state. You can't even collect rainwater in most fucking states. It's illegal. So even if you bought like a thousand acres of land, you still have to go to the people you want to get away from to even operate infrastructure on that land. Infrastructure that's life sustaining as well.
But you know what the
Eh,
difference is between the way that we think as nationalists and the way that these people think? What they have in their mind when it comes to the end game is them relaxing in their house on a piece of land. When we think about it, we're thinking about building.
no,
The
no, no. The
the
difference.
mindset is totally different.
No, I would say something. There are a couple of points I'm going to get later on down and think because they're all good points. But one of the things I say the difference is when we think about it, we're thinking about not only how to build, but how to maintain and how to expand.
Right.
Hey, when we build the nation, great, you got to maintain it so that it doesn't collapse on itself and it resolves back to a failed state. Then you have to expand it. Hey, so an example would be, okay, we build the nation, okay, with the basis, okay, we're going to need a space program. Okay, we're gonna need STEM research, so we're gonna need research facilities. We're gonna need all
Satellites.
these different, yeah, satellites. You're gonna need all of this stuff. We're gonna need ocean settlements because ocean energy and ocean colonization is becoming more and more feasible. You know, space colonization. These are all stuff that we are thinking about. We're not just thinking like, oh, we buy black and stuff like that. Yeah, that's cute and dandy and stuff. But one of the things you have to factor in is money supply. We're going to have to control the money and how much money is allotted because we're going to be printing it. Okay. We're going to have to making sure that our laws are in compliance with the Union of the Mono River or ECOWAS or the African Continental Free Trade Area. Like we have agreements. We're going to have, this is what we're thinking about. We're thinking about how, if we're actually running the nation. We're not just thinking hypotheticals. We're thinking like what is going on right now and how we would respond and how we would do stuff if we were a nation. They're not thinking that. Ronan brings up a good point here that I want to go on to. Black people want to model themselves after Native Americans who got reparations and are basically an endangered species in their own damn land and homeland. That's basically the truth. Like he's not lying.
But I thought they were Native Americans.
Don't, like I said, logic doesn't make any sense.
That's what they've been telling me. It's like we're the original Native American. Oh, okay. I hear you. And like I said, I have no problem with that. My only problem is why are you in our forums? What are you trying to convince us of? Shouldn't you be in a TP somewhere smoking a peace pipe?
They need more people for their TP.
Oh, so why don't they get it outside of our circle? Because we're not interested in it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. We gotta get to Chima's point, and then I'll get back to Wendy D because I didn't answer her question, although I had her up on a comment. Chima Madu said, "But the Chinese are over there." I get so tired of that argument. What's your agenda? What is your goal? What is your end game? Because if you had those three problems, that wouldn't matter to us. Like I don't care that China's over there. Why? Because I have my goals and stuff, and there are goals that are compatible with us. So I don't care. Like
Then
the
why are
only people that
Captain America Negroes talking about that? Like, what? That's the point that I don't understand. If you're a Captain America Negro and you're a Black Power American, what do you care about the Chinese being over there?
Didn't you say, Hollow? The only people are scared of an agenda, and they're only scared because they don't have one of their own.
Exactly. That's why you scared. Oh shit! The New England Patriots got an agenda to win the Super Bowl. What are we gonna do? What the fuck you think? Just because somebody has an agenda, that doesn't mean that it's going to be manifested into reality. You should have one too. And then let's see who wins. But we're not looking at this like it's a competition. We're thinking that we're playing, we're playing checkers and everybody else is playing chess. We slap
No,
box and
what?
everybody else is doing mixed martial arts.
Matter of fact,
Hold on, let me
we the pigeons on the checker and the chessboard just shitting all over the place.
No, Wendy, I wanted to answer your question about what propaganda can unite us. To be honest, you're not gonna, you can get the majority, but you would have to like, it's gonna really come down to when it comes to that type of propaganda, it's really gonna have to be us on the ground, but also most importantly, what we can offer. And that's really all I can say about that because we've given out every point. Now, you could say, well, we can debate them, but we don't feel the need to debate them because we would win that argument because these people don't even know how to properly define anything. But
Did Wendy D make that statement? Because she's saying that she didn't.
no, I was going back to this comment, Wendy. I was like, you were talking about this one where you said, so what is the solution to reach those black people that think like that? What kind of propaganda can we use to unite us?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. But those are the only suggestions that I have. Like Rule of Two said, FBA don't understand politics or alliances, all smoke, and that's really what it is. They don't understand geopolitics. They don't understand public policy. Like I told one of my friends earlier, they literally. Oh, okay, Wendy, I understand what you're saying. The China, that was Chimamanda. I wanted, I understand. I understand what you're talking about. Yeah, I understand. But yeah, like I told him, and I said, he Tariq Nasheed in a debate said, "Do we need public policy?" And he said, "No, we don't need public policy."
What the fuck? Well, then again, he's still working on Hidden Color 75.
Like this man literally said, "We can solve black issues without public policy," and I'm like, the answer to solutions is public policy.
See, the thing is, if you got public policy, that's a solution, and when you have a solution, that stops his merchandise sales. Because what the fuck is he gonna talk about then?
And one of the things that lets me know people aren't serious is that we have yet collectively to create the vehicle where we can pool our resources. That tells you all you need to know. That tells you all you need to know. All you see is a bunch of GoFundMe this, Kickstarter that, but there's no collective national or international way to pool our resources together. Nobody's even thinking about it. Nobody's even raising it up in the discussion. The only time I ever hear it is when we bring it up in the BAIO.
Rule of Two gave a good point. He said, "You don't need to debate anyone. Short, informative videos, panels discussing the benefits, sell it like a car or a gated community."
I
Oh, we
can't
got
really
those
disagree
already.
with that.
Like Jabari, for instance. Like we already have those videos. It just has to be shared by people that's watching this now.
Yeah, talking point smash. Feel free to share them.
Yeah, like I do that all the time. Talking points, man. I haven't been posting videos on my channel lately, but I'm gonna start posting more short clips because my videos are usually like 5 to 10 minutes, and they like debunk a lot of these myths about Liberian history. Talking about Black nationalist women and how Black women were part of nationhood. I do this stuff because that's really where you get like people need to know that there's a history of this. Like what we're saying is not new. What we're saying is not something that hasn't been done or replicated. This has been replicated for generations. We are just the torch. We are just the torch carriers.
Right. Exactly.
And that's how we should see it. We shouldn't be seeing this like it's a foreign concept. It's not.
I
Oh
agree.
yeah, another thing. It's funny because these are the same people who say, well, we shouldn't vote. We shouldn't, getting into politics. And my thing is, okay, so then how are we going to control the things around us? Because that requires government. So you're telling us to do for ourselves when we need the government to do it for us.
Just be black and grow some tomatoes, nigga. That's it.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm sure that you guys have had these discussions with libertarians, right?
Oh God.
Libertarians always push this no government. Well, we don't need government. And then when you ask them, well, how are you going to handle this and that? Oh, well, you can have a board. I'm saying, oh, so in other words, you need a government. You're just not calling it government.
Just a different form of bureaucracy.
Yeah, you're just not
Well,
calling it
yeah.
Privately
government.
owned.
Even like I tell people, even in the smallest situations, even in a community or a commune, there's some form of authority.
Exactly. It's a way of organizing your society because most people, and this is where I always push back on the you got to own a business shit. Most people are workers. The vast majority of people are going to be workers. The problem is not everybody owning a business in the black community. The problem is we don't own any industries that our
Yep.
people can work
Facts.
for. Just like
Thank you,
like
Hola,
the
for
issue.
making that distinction. Also, to add to that point before, I just want to get this point too. If
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
have a bunch of businesses, you can't expand them because everybody then has a business. So it essentially
Yep.
caps how many people can work for your business. You can't have everybody having their own business because that's going to cap the amount of people you can employ because everybody has their own business. And then also, everybody can't have a business because certain industries, like me being in civil engineering construction, that requires a massive amount of workers. You can't own a construction company with one or two people. You have to have a team of like 30 to 100 people.
Yeah. And the
That
point, let me just make this. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
no. You go ahead.
I was going to say the popular opinion is that black folks ain't got no money. You know what people really need to be saying? They need to be saying black folks ain't got no consciousness because that's what Amos Wilson has always said. It's not the money that's the problem. We don't have the consciousness. We have the money because how you going to say black folks ain't got no money and you got niggas putting diamonds in their forehead? You got people spending like walking around with 5,000 in cash on them for strippers. The
Yep.
problem is not the money. The problem is the consciousness. Could you imagine if those same niggas that spend all of that money on bullshit actually said, "Oh shit, let's put this money towards some Liberia infrastructure program." But the thing is, it takes a certain consciousness to do that. So the problem is not we don't have no money because we got plenty of that. Like I said, you could go to any project and you're going to find PlayStations and Xboxes.
And like Professor Davis said, if Black Americans invested in Liberia, it would be a middle income country within a generation. And you know what? That there was another focus on Liberia video. When I said the challenge in of the African diasporas, he said the same thing. He said whatever country that reaches out to Black Americans the most is going to become a middle income country. Is going to benefit the most. Like, I don't understand how we don't get it when people around the globe can clearly see it for themselves.
Also, I would say like with the whole business thing, it's like people want to have a bunch of businesses, right? But they don't want to own the businesses on like the chain, like Korean hair shops. They own the hair shop, then you have them owning the wholesaler, then you have them owning the distribution, then they have their country where they get the shit from. Whereas Black Americans like, yeah, I got this, I got a sneaker shop, but you won't got the sneakers. You don't make the sneakers, so
That's
you
the
just
thing.
having
Like,
that
people
one
don't.
shop
You
means
live in a
nothing.
you live in a global market. You do. There's global trade. Once again, not understanding global politics. Like, you have to first have the manufacturing, the place where the stuff is manufactured, but you also have to get the raw materials for it to be manufactured. And so that's a whole chain.
Yep, Negroes don't want to own a supply chain.
Oh, this
Could
is
you
a
imagine?
Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee actually asked a good question. What will be the game plan if a mass exodus happens before a nation, and let's say within 10 years? That's a good question. I'm not gonna lie. That's actually a good question.
I would say try and move them to Liberia. So if you got a mass exodus, try and give them the idea like, hey, we have a whole country that needs skilled labor, and we can build up rather than going to places where had Lucy say everything is a fucking scam. So
Yeah, see, I think that's one of the things that we have to expose to is I think we have to expose the benefits of Liberia, but also expose to people this is what happens when you don't have a nation of your own. Because we've seen the videos on YouTube. We've seen the videos from oh, I don't know, she's not likable, K and K Squad, but in the video chat we got that cleared up. Somebody told us the truth of how it really goes down there, so makes sense. The Gambia, we see what's happening in the Gambia, and so you put yourself in a situation where if we had a country, like I said, that's already built and established by us, it'd be easier for us. It'd be easier for them.
It's sort of similar to what's going on with the One United Bank. Like I was saying, you can't really complain that One United Bank doesn't have a lot of money when you're not putting any money into her. Like if we want these institutions to be substantial, then we have to support them. And then when we have some skin in the game, like if their issue is, let's say that their business practices aren't up to speed of what we think they should be. Well, if we have some control and interest and some skin in the game, then we can change that. But you can't change it just
But
looking from the
see,
outside complaining.
this is what I'm saying about complaining, but don't want to leave the situation. Y'all complain about the situations, right? But you don't say, let's leave the situation, let's leave America, and let's start afresh. Because when we're in Liberia, we will be able to. One United Bank will be the default bank. It will be the bank of the country. First, whatever other black banks, they're going to be the banks of the country. You won't have to worry about that. You will have your black businesses and your black industries side by each other. See, it's not just for us. Because we in nationhood, we think about the possibilities. We're thinking about the possibilities. We're reaching for the stars. Hey, we're just not seeing what we see with our eyes in the immediate term. We can see in the long run how things are going to be.
but that
You
goes
gotta have
back
a
to the
vision.
Johnny come lately Negroes. Like if you build it, they may or may not come. But they want you to build it first though.
And that not understanding that if we had to build it first, what do you need it for? It's so self-important. You know what I'm saying? It reminds me of these chicks out here, these entitled chicks who just feel like they just supposed to get shit because it's me, baby.
I want a high value man, but I have
What do you bring to the
five
table?
kids.
What
Yeah,
do
I got
you
5 kids and no education, but I want a high value man.
But it's so funny that they don't want to accept anything from anybody, but they want everybody to accept all of their baggage. So if you see a guy and he's not up to speed with his car or his money, I ain't fucking with you. But you want him to take your broke ass with 3 kids?
If you have it, I will leech.
That's why I said, like, I don't have a problem with that Kevin Samuels dude because he's telling the truth to these women that they call into his show. I don't have a problem with him. And like I said, my only thing is it's very easy to destroy airheads. Shooting fish in a barrel. That's my only thing. It's like, why am I wasting my time with that?
Yeah, like it's the same thing. It's like the same thing when we talk about moving to Africa. They want it to be perfect. They're like, oh well, do they have this? Do they have that? And I'm like, we know the baggage, but guess what? That's where the opportunities are. That's when you get to build. That's when you get to have a say in the industries in the game of that country. Hey, most countries have their own thing. It's their own. It's in their domestic markets. So for example, South Africa has Pick and Pay and ShopRite, right? But when you go to like Europe, they have their own. In Germany, they have their own grocery store. In France, they have their own grocery stores. Hey, they dominate their local markets. That's what the opportunities lie. Is you control your own markets. So when we go to Liberia, we know that an African American grocery store will be the dominant, group. They will be the dominant, business.
Oh, did he get cut? Brian got cut off.
Yeah, he got knocked off. Just follow the link again, and we can let you back into the stream.
But Rudy asked me a question. I want to answer it. He says, Holip, could you elaborate on your earlier point that some in the YouTube community are promoting that validation of African Americans by continental Africans is correct? Well, I wasn't speaking about the YouTube community. I was speaking about mainly my anecdotal evidence and my personal experience with it. Like, I've heard people say that a continental African, like, they'll use as an example of why they don't connect with Africa, why they feel that Africans don't like us, is because one time some continental African told them that they weren't African. And that traumatized them to the point where they held on to that, and that became the basis for them not feeling that we are African. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the YouTube community, because I don't really listen to the YouTube community. To be honest with y'all, the only reason why I know about certain names that you guys talk about is because you guys mention them or people send me videos, but I'm not subscribed to any of these channels. So I don't know who these people are, what they do.
And let me add something. I find it really ironic how you would be traumatized when an African calls you, you're not African, but yet America can do all the racist stuff to you, blatantly tell you you're not American, and yet you're not traumatized at that point for some odd reason. It's self-care. Let's see how we can reconcile things, but that never seems to happen with Africans. I just find that really ironic.
Yeah, I put that in the same category as the black women who decide they're going to date outside of their race. You'll never hear this statement: "I'll never date another white man again." You'll never hear that statement.
That's too fucking true.
I'm tired of these white men. I'm never going to date a white man again. You'll never hear that spoke. I've never heard it. If somebody could copy and paste it and send it to me, I would love it. But let's compare that to the "I'll never date a black man,"
or "I'll never date a black woman."
That shit'll crash my hard drive if you'll send that to me.
Yeah, but it's like they're winning, so you always want to try and leave a little bit of skin in the game for the winning team.
But here's my problem. But here's my thing. How is Bottom Shelf Brad different than Pookie and Ray Ray? Bottom Shelf Brad is the white version of Pookie and Ray Ray.
But the thing is, they have a better chance to climb a ladder than Pookie and Ray Ray.
I'll make it shorter. He's white. That's the short answer. He's a short answer. Because, like I said, I made this point before when it comes to Eminem. When Eminem, they praise Eminem for the same thing that they used to put down black rappers for doing. Remember, Brian?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the days, what did they call lyricists? Oh, you a backpack rapper.
Yep. Backpack rapping.
Then Eminem comes out. Now all of a sudden, backpack rapping is cool. Battling is cool. Kicking it in the cypher is cool now because Eminem is doing it. When black dudes were doing it, y'all made Biggie put on a suit. You made Nas put on a suit. You made Big Daddy Kane put on a suit and start singing for the ladies and switching their whole style up so they could get commercial success. Y'all was not feeling when they was just straight up lyricists. Now, all of a sudden, when you talk about Eminem as the greatest, what do you hear them say? Oh, well, he's the greatest lyricist to this. I'm like, it's all bullshit. It's all hypocrisy. It's all... It's totally ridiculous, man. That's why I don't even pay any attention to these people. Because they talking out of both sides of their mouth.
Eminem pretty much they praise him so much. I don't know if you remember like the era of battle rapping on MTV, because when black rappers was doing it, you couldn't find it on MTV.
Exactly.
When Eminem did it, all of a sudden you got a whole series of random motherfuckers, all battle rapping this shit, battle rapping is this. And it's like, but black rap has been doing that for fucking ever. And like, he's not the greatest lyricist unless you talk about killing your moms and shit constantly or doing drugs constantly, you know what I mean? Like we hate black rappers for like popping Zans, but when Eminem rapped about popping Zans and 9-inch nails in his eyeballs, oh, that's fucking cool.
You know what a great lyricist is? Great lyricist is when you hear their lyrics and you'll be repeating them shit for years to come.
And I don't know anybody who repeat Eminem lyrics since even from like the real Some Shady.
It's like Eminem don't even have like, and I'm talking about for me, my personal taste. He don't even have one for me. I mean, even Kwame got one. Even Young MC got one. Well, you ain't got one for me. I there's not one Eminem record that I would go to the store and buy.
Hold on, wait. This is what Baruti said, but this is what I agree with Rule of Two. He said that's what happens when you own the infrastructure. Correct.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When you control the infrastructure, you get to control who gets put on and who doesn't.
But see, the problem is, y'all, it's like me trying to tell a woman what it's like in the third trimester. Now, ladies, you're gonna feel a slight pinch right here. It's like, what the fuck are they listening to me for? We don't have people in this conversation that know what the fuck they're talking about. That's my biggest problem. You hear that? And that's why we have to address. That's why I said to debate them would be a waste of time, because what we would have to do is correct their preconceived notions first and then try to answer the question. That's waste too much time. But if you have two people in there that they know what nationhood is, they know what infrastructure is, they know how you build societies, they know how you build industries, then we can have that conversation. But if that's the case, there wouldn't be a debate. We'd be on the same side.
Yep.
Excellent
So either
point
way,
again.
it's a waste of time.
Same thing happens on TikTok. Black folks create something hot, but TikTok promote white content creators. Again, what happens when you don't control the infrastructure? When you control it, you're able to dictate the terms and policies.
Are people not getting, like, are people not understanding what that means? Or are they just, I don't know. Because haven't we been talking about this like forever?
Yeah, we have.
What don't you understand? How can you possibly intellectually say that we should not own the context of our reality, that we should not own the infrastructure that we exist in? What's your justification for that?
Because somebody else built it and they didn't have to.
No, here's a better thing. I saw on Instagram, right? This black designer created something, right? And she gave it to this white lady, or she introduced it to this white lady to try to see if she could bring attention to it. And the white lady ended up stealing the design. This is what happens when you try so hard to make Hollywood and make mainstream media try to get out your story.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens. They take it and they run away with it. Okay, rather than saying, you know what, I'll go to Nollywood. We'll go to Liberian cinema, Lollywood. We'll do that. But what we're not going to do is, I'm not begging Hollywood to make a movie about me. I'm not begging Netflix to do that.
Especially now, the technology, like if you just look at 10 years ago, you don't have to go to Hollywood for nothing. Nothing. There's people out here.
You can make a small budget movie.
Exactly. There's people that's independent filmmakers that's making films with a fucking iPhone. I mean, they're using a cell phone to make movies. And you look at the movie, it looks like somebody put big budget into it.
Yeah, if you're good at editing and you're good at software design, you can make a low budget movie into like what it looked like a blockbuster film. And that has happened before.
Mm-hmm.
What happened in Nigeria? We saw it in today with we saw it in currently, those Nigerian boys, right? Where they would make like their own promos in Nigeria, and it would look like some real blockbuster movie type stuff.
Have you seen African Superstar's intros to her videos?
Yeah.
This shit is hot. And you can tell she's using like a drone and shit. And it's like, man, it's so much. The people don't know how to read the room, like you said earlier. Read the room. Know what's going on. It's like you don't have to be put on. Put yourself on. And then everybody can come to you.
Right. It's the same thing what I talk about when it comes to Black history and Liberian history. What do we constantly have to been doing on this channel? Debunking myths about Liberian history. Why? Because Liberian history has been told by non-Liberians and non-African Americans, and it's therefore been distorted. This is what happens when you don't tell your own story. You need to tell your that's what we as nationalists understand. We want to tell our own stories. We want to tell our own myths. We want to tell our history and the people who drove them. I don't need you to tell my story, okay? It's sweet of you for you to consider, but I don't need you to do that. I can do that myself, okay? Did you see the controversy with Aretha Franklin? With the new series Genius, right? The family's upset because for the Genius series, they never came to her. They never came to the family. They never spoke to the family.
Wow. Not surprising. Not surprising. We still expect goodwill from these people, man. When they control everything, they can take your shit. What you going to do about it?
He said, Jabari, could you elaborate on a point you made about another show in which you said African Americans should negotiate the showing of A films in Hollywood? Talk about the power and potential and or hurdles. The potential is you're exposed to a market of 200 million people with a economy of 448 billion. Nollywood's films get sold all throughout Africa, so it'll be shown all throughout Africa. And since we do have more wealth, we can invest more into their companies and we can make them compete on a global scale to where we are the epicenter of cinema and film.
Like
and
China.
It's Black owned. Right. China's movie industry is now what, bigger than Hollywood? And it's about to make more money than Hollywood.
Yep.
See, that makes sense. So it's not gonna be done. Cause I can tell you, these motherfuckers think, well, if I stay in America, then I get those American connections, and my shit gonna be shown all over the place. Even though, like you said, Nollywood has a huge market and it could be built up, but they don't want to take the time to build it up and potentially maybe lose out on the money to make another slave movie in Hollywood.
But like I said, and here's the thing, Africa's population is growing. It's expected to double to 2.4 billion people.
Y-
Most Africans are young. So you can show mythological movies, you can show
Yep.
kids movies, and they'll sell. Like, see, when you come from, like we said over and over and over again, when you come from a position of nationhood, this is what you're thinking.
But a
We can
lot of
sell it
people
in the
aren't.
Caribbean too. We can sell this in the Caribbean too. In Brazil too.
But
You know,
who winning?
you know what the difference?
Yeah.
You know what the difference is between a regular Hollywood film and a $1 billion franchise? Usually special effects. And special effects are put together by special effect houses. It's not like it was years ago. Like if you go about 20, 30 years ago, to do a movie like an Endgame or whatever would be too expensive that nobody would even attempt to do it.
Yup, or be
Now,
cheesy as fuck.
yeah, now the technology has caught up where you can basically do just about anything and it doesn't cost you as much. So how much does it take to put together a black special effects house?
Quick.
A will and desire to fucking do it.
Pretty much anybody can get Photoshop. No, anybody can get Sony Vegas. These
We
aren't
don't have black
$1,000.
nerds. We ain't got no black technical nerds that can do that shit that would love to get in there and work on a Black Panther movie or work on a black IP or property. But the problem is, like I said, it's not money, it's consciousness. We ain't got no consciousness.
Like Ruler 2 said, bro, MFs on YouTube make a whole lightsaber battles that look better than Disney.
And they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. I love the black nerds, man. That is an
and they're there,
underutilized.
and they're
That's an
and they're
underutilized demographic.
and they're there. And the thing about it is, there are a lot of Black professionals who want to feel like they're not being appreciated, that they're underpaid, and that they should get paid more.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were to have our own nation, which we already do, Liberia, so we're not gonna bring that up. But when we go, if they were in Liberia, they would be appreciated. They would be getting the money they deserve. They would be getting the benefits they deserve. They would be getting the recognition they deserve.
Shit, they can build dynasties like, there was one George Lucas. You can have another George Lucas. You could become the next George Lucas with an easier way up the ladder. Oh, RDC World is fucking
Yeah,
amazing. Those
yeah.
dudes
I
are
watched.
amazing with their fucking series.
Yeah, man. It don't take much. It's all it takes is the desire to fucking do it. And this is the reason why. The reason why we get so frustrated is because we're engaged in these fucking landlord conversations with a bunch of fucking tenants, bringing their tenant mentality into the conversation, and then trying to ask, trying to make statements, not even ask questions, but making statements about shit that they know nothing about.
No, I'll say this. I have an even better one. That's like me right now. That's like somebody telling me how to do calculus 3 and they still in algebra. Honey, you haven't taken geometry, you ain't even taken pre-cal. How you gonna tell me what calculus 3 is and you ain't even taken those classes?
Yeah, I'm looking at this RDC World. These guys are 20. The oldest cat is 26.
Yep. And they made a whole series called Anime House, which is fucking awesome. Like, I can't wait for the next one to come out.
Unbelievable, man. And it's totally underused demographic, man. Totally underused. But see, this is the problem. You got to have a vision, and you got to have that end game. Where are you? What are you learning? What you're learning for? This is something that Amos Wilson used to talk about all the time. What's education if it's not helping you advance your people and your situation? If it doesn't do that, then all education is for you to intellectualize in a fucking cafe with your legs crossed, sipping some latte. Oh, aren't I brilliant? What are you doing with the education? What are you doing to practically help your situation, your collective situation as a people?
And yeah, they like Vic Shepard said, they got LeBron's attention. And to add to Rule of 2 points, I understand your pain because it's like he said, I built all kinds of platforms for Black folks and they're just sitting there, so I feel your pain. And my response is, how many times where Black folks have tried to build something in Black folks and they've actually done it, and then Black folks didn't support it and then it went down?
Well, good example is Tariq Blockhead ass Nasheed. Oh, Black folks. Oh, every time I go to them, they got them Renum spoons. So I had to go to the white guy to shoot Hidden Colors because magically there was no competent Black cameraman anywhere to be found in America.
I can name a few of them because I work with them.
Oh, I know, but his bitch ass.
You'll find what you want to find. It's amazing. You will find what you want to find. Can't nobody tell me today. I've worked with competent professional Black people in just about every industry or everything that I needed, and I was able to find them. So fuck out of here with that bullshit. Are there some Black people that's full of shit? Yes. Are there Black people engaged in business that's on some bullshit? No doubt. I would never say that that's not the case. But don't tell me that you cannot find people that are professional and do their job. And I doubt if I'm just lucky.
Let me answer Barudi's question. I think it's ignorance. That's really what it is. Like, there's really nothing else to explain about that. It's really ignorance. And, a lot of Nigerians are just ignorant about African American history, and a lot of them don't know anything about African American history. Also, the slave trade, the fact that Nigeria was part of the slave trade plays a factor. So those are a couple reasons why there is a little bit of beef between African Americans and Nigerians. but that can sort of be sourced with education and sort of understanding from each other. Ruler 2 said Tariq Nasheed raising that vacation money. Yeah, I mean he doing that. Remember the Ogun juice? Remember that Ogun juice? Remember that FBA conference, which was really a mixer.
It was a mixer.
I should send the RDC World
Even
a
ADOS,
AIO link.
even ADOS got on that. Even ADOS roasted them on that. I was laughing at that.
I should send the RDC World a BAIO link.
Oh
If
yeah,
you know,
please do.
if you know any black nerds, refer them to the BAIO.
And it's
Yeah, special effects house. This is exactly what I was talking about. And now they're working with the NBA. Brian?
No, they're not working with the NBA. They just got LeBron James' attention with the videos of like, here's LeBron after they lost to so and so. Here's LeBron. Like they just got his attention with those videos they put out.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard Jefferson was like, "We know it's true, but we can't be saying it. We can't just be admitting it." So I mean, yeah,
Yep.
they be making noise. They be making noise. But Rulo too said that's a model for your ass though. Charge those MFers to help you make a movie and then sell it to them. Like I don't understand. Like that is unfortunate. Like you're literally paying somebody to create a movie and they're selling it to you. What? Oh, child. Oh
Isn't
my
that like the
goodness.
model of Netflix? Like Netflix prices constantly raised for content that's constantly getting taken off, and then all of a sudden you got a bunch of Netflix only movies. Same thing with Amazon. Like everybody pay
Mhm.
ridiculous prices for Amazon Prime, then they got a little bit of content, but all of a sudden most of it is Amazon Prime specials.
Yeah, it's amazing how we just allow people to rip us off and we think that's normal. We definitely, well, not we. I'm gonna say the collective. Um, and we just need to. We got our work cut out for us. We do, but yeah. I know it's approaching the 2 hour mark. I know any last closing remarks that y'all want to make before we wrap up this live stream. Excuse me. I will say this. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to comment below. Sign up to the website at blafricstan.org/register. Remember, we have a BL get together at around 7:30. Well, 7 to 8 p.m. Be on the lookout on that. Any other things that you guys would like to say?
I'm going to do a little self plug that I normally don't do. 70 subscribers away from my book giveaway. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, and if you go to my channel, the first video that pops up, like the featured video, is the book giveaway video. Sign up. If you haven't subscribed to me, which is weird, you probably already have, but if you can send people my way, I'm just trying to get to 70 so I can give this book away. And put in that video, in the comments, put in hashtag Holip4K, because I'm trying to reach 4,000 subscribers. So when that happens, I'm going to give the book away. And the book is, I believe, the 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. So that's my self plug. I haven't been doing that, and that's probably the reason why I haven't reached my goal yet. But if you can, subscribe to the channel or send other people that way so I can give this book away.
Mr. Wilson, is there anything else you want to say?
I would just say, the reason Tariq is on con par excellence is because people don't want to do their due diligence of actually researching or knowing what the hell is going on. So, you can only allow yourself to be conned when your thought process is just comprised of laziness. I think that's about it.
Yeah,
We
and my
really
final
need to
statement.
stop talking about him.
Yeah. And my final thing would be to say is we at the BL, we are for Land Infrastructure Nation. We don't complain. We about solutions. And like somebody said before, when you complaining, that means usually you have no agenda and you have no goals. So I'll leave it at that. Remember, please sign up to the website, like, share, subscribe, share, yeah, do all that.
Alrighty. Peace, y'all.
Peace, fam.
Peace.